That year, on our golden wedding anniversary, I passed away quietly in my sleep, and the carousel of memories suddenly lit up. In 1972, Fu Mingxuan went to the countryside as a well-informed youth, and I honored my future mother-in-law, supporting the Fu family with my meager salary. In 1975, when Fu Mingxuan got a job and flirted with Su Minqiu, I worked day and night doing odd jobs to earn the betrothal gifts for our marriage. In 1977, Fu Mingxuan and Su Minqiu engaged in a tumultuous love affair. While I, having just given birth, developed a chronic illness from washing his clothes during my confinement, in 1985, Fu Mingxuan went south to do business, accompanying Su Minqiu on a journey across the beautiful landscapes of our motherland. While I was busy making money to support the family and raise the children, at my funeral, he finally brought Su Minqiu into the family, and my children, who only knew how to complain about the food, said, "Aunt Su, from now on, we will treat you as our own mother and honor you as such." When I opened my eyes again, the calendar showed the bright red year of 1975. 2 years remain until the resumption of the college entrance exams. Qingxian, why haven't you washed my clothes from yesterday? Madame Fu lounged lazily in the rocking chair in the courtyard, asking while cracking melon seeds. I suddenly opened my eyes, surrounded by an environment that was both unfamiliar and familiar. It was the Fu family from the small town in the past. The Fu mother who passed away 10 years ago due to paralysis now stood before me, very much alive. I couldn't believe my eyes and called out to her, dumbfounded, "Mom, I haven't even agreed to let you in the door yet, so don't call me Mom." She was cracking melon seeds, spitting everywhere. If it weren't for the decline of the Fu family, his father passing away early, and all their property being confiscated. With Mingxuan's knowledge and looks, how could he possibly have chosen you as his wife? I'd been hearing the same spiel since I was 20. It wasn't until the final years of my mother-in-law's life, when she was bedridden, that she softened her tone with me, the devoted daughter-in-law caring for her, and stopped mentioning how unworthy I was of her pride and joy. Her son. I tossed the broom aside and rushed into the inner room. On the table sat a brand new radio. My dowry that I had painstakingly saved for over half a year. The vintage beauty calendar on the wall clearly displayed the 4 large characters, 1975. In 1975, I was 20 years old, about to marry Fu Mingxuan, who was returning from the countryside. Fu's mother stormed in, muttering curses. "How dare you throw the broom at me?" "Well, Mingxuan will be back in a couple of days, I'll tell him. And let's see if you can still marry into the Fu family. Fu Mingxuan hasn't returned yet. And I haven't married him." "That would be wonderful, Aunt Fu," I called her. "I won't be marrying your son." "What did you just say?" Fu Mingxuan, dusty and travel-worn, stood at the door, staring at me in disbelief, luggage in hand. At 25, he was in the prime of his life, tall and handsome, a dreamboat for many girls. In my past life, I was captivated by his looks and willingly gave him my entire life. Only on my deathbed did I realize that I had supported the Fu family, while he had been supporting a small home for Su Minqiu outside. Even my children knew. They said Fu Mingxuan was with me out of duty, but Su Minqiu was his soulmate, hindered by me. So at my funeral, they couldn't wait to bring Su Minqiu into the Fu family. I don't want the hypocritical Fu Mingxuan anymore. If given another chance, I don't want those heartless children either. I looked at the man I had loved for most of my life and said with a smile, "Deaf." I said, "I'm not marrying into the Fu family to be a free nanny." Fu Mingxuan's face turned extremely pale. His mother was pulling at him while wailing, "Look at the wife you picked." After saying a few words to her, she starts throwing things and making threats. I absolutely oppose this marriage. Fu Mingxuan closed his eyes and spoke resolutely. "Qingxian, have you thought it through? I'm deeply grateful for the 3 years you've spent taking care of my family. If you're willing to sincerely apologize to my mother, I will still honor my promise to you." In 1972, Fu Mingxuan, about to go to the countryside, told me, "I'll have to ask you to take care of my mother for me. When I come back, I'll marry you." I was filled with joy, and no matter how much my mother-in-law treated me harshly, I felt there was hope for the future. Little did I know that this promise was a vow of love to me, but to Fu Mingxuan, it was a responsibility that bound him. Later, during countless arguments over Su Minqiu, he would say with a frown, "I already sacrificed my own love to marry you out of gratitude. What more do you want from me?" Countless nights, tears wetting the pillow, waking up to face a nagging mother-in-law, a crying child, endless housework, and the burden of supporting the household as a woman. I picked up the radio and walked out of the Fu family home without looking back. Fu Mingxuan, dream on. As soon as she stepped out, she bumped into Su Minqiu, who was dressed to the nines. She was a broadcaster at the textile factory, with a loud and clear voice. But she spoke in a soft tone in front of Fu Mingxuan. Mingxuan Ji, you're back. Even I found out about Fu Mingxuan's return from Fu's mother. It seems they've been keeping in touch through letters, and their news is more up-to-date than mine, and there she is, showing up with fruit to butter me up. Oh, Xiaosu is so thoughtful. Come in and sit down. Fu's mother, no longer arrogant and overbearing, quickly invited her in, offering her a seat and preparing tea. I stood to the side, watching the two reunite after a long separation, gazing deeply into each other's eyes. The scene was a bit ridiculous, and I didn't want to be a third wheel, so I was about to leave. Where are you going, Sister Xian? Did I interrupt your family reunion? I rolled my eyes and said irritably, you can eat anything, but you can't just say anything. Who said we're a family with them? Fu Mingxuan's face turned dark, and he frowned, speaking in a deep voice. Qingxian, if you have any complaints, come to me. How can you take it out on Minqiu? It's always like this, whether it's with Fu's mother or with Su Minqiu. Fu Mingxuan never sides with me, he would only blame me. Never once in 50 years of marriage did he think I was right. I guess I was just too easygoing before, I sneered, giving Fu Mingxuan a once-over. She's no good. And you disgust me even more. He seemed furious, struggling to breathe. How did you become like this? You're acting like a shrew. If I had known, I would have. You don't need to care whether I act like a shrew or not. Anyway, I won't marry you. Fu Mingxuan widened his eyes in disbelief. What did you say? I gazed at the mirror hanging outside the courtyard, reflecting my young face, and a strange mix of bitterness and excitement welled up inside me. I'm only 20. I should have a bright future. Not be trapped in the Fu family, shackled by the titles of daughter-in-law, wife, and mother. Are you deaf? Shouldn't you be happier without me standing in your way? Fu Mingxuan's brow furrowed even deeper, and surprisingly, he began to explain. What are you talking nonsense about? There's nothing between me and Minqiu. I promise to marry you. And I won't go back on my word. He looked at me sincerely, and if it weren't for the betrayal I've experienced, it would be hard not to believe that gaze. Fu's mother just came out with tea, and Su Minqiu took it and handed it to me. Sister Xian, have some tea to calm down. Let's talk things through. You and Mingxuan have already made an agreement, so how could I possibly interfere in your relationship? With that, she wiped away the non-existent tears with her sleeve. What a pretender. Not only did you intervene, but you did so for a full 50 years. Even enduring the bitterness of sleeping on firewood and tasting gall couldn't compare to your patience. The anger I had been suppressing finally erupted at this moment. With a wave of my hand, I heard Su Minqiu let out a startled scream. Ah, it hurts. Fu Mingxuan immediately ran over, pushed me aside, carefully cradled her reddened hand, and said through gritted teeth, Qingxian, you've really gone too far. Don't you hurry up and apologize to Minqiu. His nervous expression momentarily stunned me. In my previous life, my mother-in-law was bedridden, and every night I would stay by the stove to brew her medicine. Getting burned was a common occurrence. Did Fu Mingxuan know? He knew. He coldly watched me sitting by the bed, using a red-hot silver needle to prick the blisters, then turned over and went back to sleep. The next day, however, a tube of burn ointment appeared by the bedside. I was so naive back then, thinking he just wasn't good at expressing himself, but deep down, he still cared about me. Watching him gently hold Su Minqiu's hand, his eyes red as he asked if she was in pain, I felt a tightness in my chest. Turns out he can feel for others, just not for me. I extended my hand, gazing at my delicate skin, now free of cracks and old scars. In this life, I won't let myself get burned. His sympathy and burn ointment, I need none of it. I'm leaving. Fu Mingxuan called out to me from behind. Qingxian, if you leave, there's no chance for us. Who cares about that little chance? So self-important. When my parents heard I wasn't marrying Fu Mingxuan, they were so happy they slaughtered a chicken. You've finally come to your senses. He's just a pretty-faced scholar. Mom and Dad will introduce you to some good guys. I was gnawing on a chicken leg, my mouth full and unclear. Not in a hurry. I'm going to take the college entrance exam. My dad was so shocked that his chopsticks fell, and he reached out to feel my forehead. Are you okay? The college entrance exam has been cancelled for so many years, Comrade Lao Cheng. It won't be long before things get back on track. During this time, I'm determined to study hard and become the first college student in our family. My parents exchanged worried glances, thinking I must have suffered some kind of blow at the Fu family's place, and for a moment they didn't even dare to speak. I wiped my mouth clean and rode my bicycle to work. This bike was originally a gift I bought for Fu Mingxuan, spending all my savings just to get the bicycle ticket. In my previous life, he used to ride the bike I bought to pick up and drop off Su Minqiu, all in the name of looking out for a colleague. I made a fuss with him, and he called me petty. In the end, I had to swallow my. Both my parents worked at the supply and marketing cooperative. After finishing middle school, I was assigned a job as a sales clerk at a counter. Although the salary is meager, it's still considered a stable job. Back then, no one knew that in the 1990s, the supply and marketing cooperatives would be restructured, and everyone would be laid off. Thinking about the hardships I endured in my previous life, working odd jobs, setting up a stall to support the kids' education, while Fu Mingxuan used the excuse of doing business in the south to travel and enjoy the scenery with Su Mingqiu. I can't help but feel furious. Fu Mingxuan is here with his mother, using oil coupons to buy oil. I took the ticket and said without looking up, $5. Fu Mingxuan felt his pocket and his face suddenly turned red. I left in a hurry and didn't bring enough money. You can lend me $2 first. He isn't the Fu the tycoon who caught the business boom at the beginning of the 21st century yet. He's strapped for cash, not even able to scrape together $5. In the past, I would grit my teeth and pay for him, but now, I'm done being a sucker. Broke, then get out of here quickly. There are people waiting in line. He lowered his head, unable to utter a word. Oh, Chingxian, you have money to buy a bicycle, but you won't even spare $2, and you think you can marry into the Fu family. Dream on, you're old enough. Don't ruin my reputation. Do I have an engagement with Fu Mingxuan? Have we exchanged our birth dates? Has he ever visited my parents? Fu's mother was so angry her eyes were bulging, pointing her finger at my nose and yelling, "You ungrateful wretch, our Mingxuan is educated, talented, and can write beautifully. What can you do? Just stand here selling rice and oil for the rest of your life. When my son gets a good job, you'll be dreaming if you think you can ever step into the Fu family's door." Mom, stop talking. Fu Mingxuan grabbed his mother, giving me a look that was hard to read. Qingxian, I was originally trying to give you an out, but you've really disappointed me. He pulled his mother away. The news spread quickly among the neighbors. My dad sat at the door, smoking one cigarette after another, and finally slapped his thigh, saying, "No way, I need to arrange a blind date for you. You need to get married quickly to get past this." I retorted irritably, "Comrade Lao Qing, your daughter still has to take the college entrance exam. I'd rather die than get married." "What do you know? I've already inquired about the son of Director Li from the textile factory. I guarantee you'll be satisfied." "No, he can also drive. He drives for his uncle, Director Li of the factory. He has a bright future ahead." "No way." "What? He can drive? Does he own a car?" My father gave a nod. "Wow." On the day of the blind date, I specially took an afternoon off. When Li Ming came to pick me up in his small car, it attracted countless envious glances, but in fact, I just wanted a ride to the bookstore in the city to buy books. English books were a rarity back then, and I couldn't find any in the entire county. Luckily, they were available in the city, thanks to having a car. I also picked up quite a few reference books on literature and history. Preparing in advance for the college entrance exam 2 years later, after buying the books, Li Ming asked me, blushing, if I could accompany him to return the car to the factory, and he wanted to treat me to a meal at the state-run restaurant. Feeling guilty for having him drive me around for half a day for free, I volunteered to treat him instead. The car stopped at the gate of the textile factory, just in time for the end of the shift. It was then that Fu Mingxuan and Su Mingqiu walked out. I almost forgot, in my previous life, Fu Mingxuan was assigned to the textile factory after returning to the city. I wonder what the two were talking about. Fu Mingxuan scratched his head shyly, and when he looked up, our eyes met in the car. He paused, rubbing his eyes in disbelief. Li Ming got out of the car to open the door for me, even extending his arm to help me out. Before I could react, Fu Mingxuan strode over, grabbed my arm forcefully, and practically dragged me out of the car. I looked up and met the inexplicable jealousy in his eyes. He ground his teeth and said, "Qingxian, you refuse to marry me. Is it because you're involved with him?" Su Mingqiu, who was not far away, ran over, her face alternating between green and white. She gently grabbed Fu Mingxuan's arm and whispered, "Mingxuan, there are so many people watching." Fu Mingxuan finally let go, but his chest was still heaving, as if he were desperately trying to suppress his emotions. Li Ming also realized what was happening, pushed him away forcefully, and said in a deep voice, "What are you doing to the female comrade? This behavior is utterly despicable. She's my fiancée." As soon as those words left my mouth, 3 pairs of eyes turned to me in unison. "Are you deaf? We have no relationship whatsoever. If you continue like this, I'll report you for tarnishing my reputation." Fu Mingxuan mumbled with his lips, knowing he couldn't afford to lose his hard-earned job, and eventually slunk away. I awkwardly thanked Li Ming. "Thank you just now. I must have made you laugh. Let me treat you to a meal." During the meal, I made it clear to Li Ming that I currently have no plans to get married. Li Ming wasn't upset and said it was just like making a new friend. I was just about to ask you, why did you buy so many books? Because I want to take the college entrance exam and go to university. He gave me the same look my parents give when they think I'm being foolish. So I quickly said, I have a feeling that the college entrance exam will be reinstated in a few years, and I want to start preparing early. He nodded. What do you buy English books for? After all, you're not going to take an English exam, are you? This was once my dream. No, even calling it a dream is a luxury. While knitting sweaters and watching the news with Fu Mingxuan, I would casually glance up, watching people with microphones rushing around the world, confidently speaking in 2 languages to report on international affairs and breaking news to the domestic audience. They wore sharp suits and exuded confidence. I also want to be like that. I want to become an international journalist, reporter. Is that similar to a newscaster? Well, sort of, but more impressive than a newscaster. He nodded thoughtfully and added that he could help with buying books in the future if needed, since it didn't work out with Li Ming. My dad isn't giving up and wants to arrange another blind date for me. I signed up for night school, leaving early and returning late every day, which saved me from a lot of nagging. Fu Mingxuan hasn't appeared in front of me for a long time. I thought he wouldn't have the nerve to come looking for me again, but to my surprise, he showed up at my house. That night, as soon as I finished class and walked into the house, I saw Fu Mingxuan playing chess with my dad. My dad pulled me aside sneakily and said, "Why didn't you tell me Xiao Fu has such a good job? He just started and he's already the director of the propaganda department at the textile factory. You'd better seize the opportunity." I was a bit speechless and said irritably, "Comrade Lao Qing, aren't you the one who looked down on him?" Lao Qing rubbed his hands together. "Hey, times have changed, and I think this young Fu is quite impressive." I watched Fu Mingxuan bring in the rice and flour, and I called him out. "What are you doing at my house?" He seemed a bit uneasy and poured out everything in one go. "Last time, didn't you say I never visited your parents? I got your hint, Xian Xian. I understand why your temperament changed. It was because I didn't give you a concrete answer before, which made you feel insecure. That's why you went on blind dates and even deliberately showed up at my workplace. Don't worry, I won't hold past events against you. Considering you took care of my mother for 3 years, I still plan to marry you." In the faint moonlight, I could almost see his flushed cheeks. For 50 years of sharing the same bed in our previous life, he never once blushed at me. Thinking about this, my face turned red, out of anger. "Are you still dreaming? Do you really think you're such a catch? Let Su Mingqiu marry instead." He took a step forward, eager to grab my hand and explain. "There's really nothing between Mingqiu and me. I just feel sorry for her since she's an orphan and not in good health, so I've been taking extra care of her." Here we go with the same old story again. He always leaves me behind, claiming Su Mingqiu needs help. While my hands were covered in frostbite and I was washing clothes for the whole family, he went to help Su Mingqiu hang up her bedding, when a flasher started following women home every day in our neighborhood. I was so terrified that I broke down crying, while he was riding his bike, escorting Su Mingqiu home. Even when our child had a fever and I called him crying from the hospital, he just said indifferently, "Mingqiu is also sick and has no one to take care of her. Isn't the child with you?" I pulled my hand away, feeling an uncomfortable sensation like bugs crawling on my hand. "Xian Xian, is there some misunderstanding between us?" He shifted his gaze to the English book in my hand and asked in surprise, "You still read books now? I thought you were just a workaholic." It's no surprise that Fu Mingxuan thinks that of me. In my previous life, I was busy making money outside and had a mountain of housework at home, leaving no time to even listen to the radio or read the newspaper. Fu Mingxuan believed we had nothing in common, and every time I flipped through his books, he would act as if I were a threat, telling me not to damage them. Later, I found theater tickets he had tucked away in a book. Tickets for a play he had gone to with Su Mingqiu. Faced with my questioning, he looked completely justified. "You wouldn't understand it anyway, so what's the point of taking you?" Even when smartphones became popular, he started watching short videos. It was a simple up and down scrolling operation, but when I asked my daughter to teach me, he stood there adjusting his glasses, making sarcastic comments. "Your mom didn't read much, and she hasn't seen the world, so even if you teach her, she won't get it." My whole life seemed to revolve around him and the kids. I sacrificed my own interests and hobbies, constantly worrying about the daily grind of life, only to be seen as worthless in their eyes. "But I could have been so much more," I said coldly. "What's it to you? Don't act like you know me so well," Fu Mingxuan kindly reminded me. You're reading an English book, aren't you? That's tough, you won't understand it. I can recommend. Before he could finish, someone just happened to come looking for him at the door. Fu Mingxuan, are you here? Su Mingqiu fell and hurt her leg, and she's been sent to the clinic. Go check on her. His pupils suddenly contracted. He looked at me, hesitating to speak. Xian, I need to go over now, about us. I just want to get rid of him quickly so he doesn't interrupt my reading. Impatiently waving my hand at him, go now. Su Mingqiu will be all alone and so pitiful if no one takes care of her. He waved his hand aimlessly and stammered a bit. It's not like that with her. No, really, it's not what you think. Forget it, I'll explain later. He hurried away. Just as he stepped out, he turned back. Can I borrow your bike? It'll be faster to ride. Me, get lost. Thanks to Su Mingqiu breaking her leg, Fu Mingxuan hasn't bothered me for a while. Before I knew it. It was spring 1976, and the temperature was rising, with everything coming back to life. Since Li Ming was going to the city on business, he took me along. As I sat in the car watching the young men and women bustling about in the city, everyone wearing brightly colored shirts, I suddenly asked Li Ming, do you know where I can buy clothes in bulk? He didn't ask anything, just took me to a large wholesale market. I took out the 200 yuan I had saved up and, with a wave of my hand, bought 20 shirts. The variety of styles left Li Ming speechless. By so much, when will you ever wear all of it? I'm going to sell it. Most of the female workers in the county town wear plain, coarse cotton garments. Although Dacron is not skin-friendly, it has bright colors and prints, and it doesn't wrinkle or tear easily. I took it back and started selling right outside the textile factory with the most female workers. The novel styles quickly attracted a large crowd of customers. I bought them for 10 yuan and sold them for 15, and I quickly sold a few. Indeed, no matter the era, it's easiest to make money from unmarried girls. When there was only one left, Su Mingqiu, limping out, quickly snatched it up. Give it to me, Sister Xian, I can't not support your business. Sorry, I snapped, yanking the clothes back. I'll sell to anyone but you. Fu Mingxuan, just off work, also left the factory carrying his bag and happened to see the crowd gathered together. Seeing him arrive, Su Mingqiu's eyes instantly welled up with tears. Why are you targeting me like this? Did I do something wrong? Fu Mingxuan frowned deeply, wanting to stand up for her, but as soon as he pushed through the crowd and met my gaze, he immediately backed down. Xian, what are you doing here? Are you short of money? You never have too much money. Come on everyone, this is the last one. Does anyone want it? Su Mingqiu has influence in the factory, and since she wanted it. The other female workers looked at each other, too afraid to speak up. If no one wants it, I'll just keep it for myself. It's 20 bucks in the city, so if you don't want it, that's fine. 20 bucks, I'll take it. Fuming Cun took out 20 from his pocket and handed it to me. Su Mingqiu was truly on the verge of tears. Mingxuan, you're always so good to me. Before she could finish, Fu Mingxuan quickly interrupted. This color suits your skin tone perfectly. I bought it for you. He blushed. Speaking directly to me, Su Mingqiu was stunned, limping away in tears. Fu Mingxuan looked a bit embarrassed, seeing me frown and remained silent. He also felt a bit awkward and left. I'll take the money, but there's no way I can accept the clothes. On Sunday, I took the clothes to the Fu residence. It's been half a year, and Mrs. Fu's attitude has softened quite a bit. Without waiting for a word from me, she pulled me down to sit and began to rant about Su Mingqiu, shouting, "You're still the best. Knowing to buy me clothes. That Su Mingqiu is nothing but a vixen, can't carry a thing or lift a finger, always asking Mingxuan for help, wearing my son out. She never has a good face for me. The last time I just asked her to sweep the yard for me. Do you know what she said? She said she's just a guest and has no obligation to help me, and she thinks she can marry into the Fu family. You see, Mingxuan is doing well at work now. Why don't you marry into our family? I'm not some wicked mother-in-law. I'll definitely treat you like my own daughter." I took a sip of tea and smiled, countering, "Aunt Fu, that's an interesting remark. Weren't you always so fond of her, calling her little Su all the time? Besides, Fu Mingxuan likes her too. I can't be the one to break them up." "Nonsense, Mingxuan likes you. He told me the other day that he bought movie tickets and wanted to invite you to the movies." At this time in my previous life, I was already married to Fu Mingxuan. This time, even though I tried my best to avoid him, he came after me on his own. Things are developing in an unknown and uncontrollable direction. The only thing I can do is to study relentlessly before the college entrance exam, get into the capital, and stay away from the Fu family. The next day, after work, I walked home pushing my bike while reciting mathematical formulas. On the way, I was stopped by Fu Mingxuan. He seemed to have dressed up specially. His hair neatly combed. Xian, may I invite you to the movies? I was interrupted while reciting, and I was fuming inside, so I snapped, no. He was blushing and stuttering. I've noticed how much you've changed since I came back. You're like someone who radiates light now, and it's hard not to be drawn to you. Can you give me another chance? I know you love studying and reading, and I won't interfere with that after we're married. My mom doesn't need you to take care of her. And if we have kids, I'll take full responsibility as a father. I never thought I'd hear something like this from Fu Mingxuan. He finally realized the responsibilities he had as a son, a husband, and a father, and that he couldn't just push them all onto his wife. But in his previous life, he had no guilt at all, leaving all the mess for me to clean up while he indulged in his own pleasures. His eyes burned with intensity as he stared into mine, desperate for an answer. Impossible, I said calmly. I don't want to get married now, and certainly not to you, but I really will treat you well. Believe me, whether I believe you or not doesn't matter. I don't need to, and I don't need to rely on a man for my happiness. I can live well on my own. Fu Mingxuan, after hearing this, was shocked and crumpled the movie ticket in his hand. I knew how heretical and shocking those words were at the time. My original intention after being reborn was simply to escape the fate of my previous life. But after reading many books and returning to this era where women had no control over their own lives, I found that I couldn't accept it. Marrying someone else is essentially no different from marrying Fu Mingxuan. I have seen the later new era where women can take charge. No, women are no longer confined to their small homes. They can also become doctors, lawyers, and anything they want to be. A woman's eyes can gaze softly upon pain, or sharply overlook prosperity. A woman's hands can cook up delicious dishes that flow with flavor, or command a sailing ship in motion. I look forward to living for my own worth, not the image of a woman society expects today. Fu Mingxuan was struck by the determination in my eyes, stuttering as he tried to argue, but in the end, he could only manage to say, "You're just reading too many books now. I'm willing to wait until you figure it out." He left and didn't bother me for a long time. Days passed peacefully. I followed a routine: supply cooperative, night school, and home. Occasionally, I would follow Li Ming to the city to buy some seasonal trendy clothes. Saving up for my college tuition, Li Ming and I got close, and one time he asked me mysteriously, "Are you close with Su Minqiu from our factory?" I shook my head and just listened as he continued, "She was caught red-handed having an affair with my cousin, and my sister-in-law beat her up and fired her. Don't say anything. My uncle is keeping it under wraps for the sake of his reputation." Li Ming's cousin, the son of the textile factory director Li, is notorious as a local troublemaker, acting above the law thanks to his family's influence. I recall that in my previous life, Su Minqiu was laid off at this exact time. After that, Fu Mingxuan treated her even better, and if it weren't for me lying at the door wailing, he would have taken her back to the Fu family home. Does this have anything to do with it? Forget it, I don't want to think about it. At least it has nothing to do with me. In the sweltering summer of 1977, the central government announced that the college entrance exam, closed for 10 years, was about to reopen. My dad treated me like a fortune teller, asking me how I knew in advance. I vaguely mentioned it was a dream I had, and also suggested he use his savings to buy a house in Shenzhen. My dad was half convinced, but in the end, he gritted his teeth and bought it. Thinking about the skyrocketing housing prices in Shenzhen in the 21st century, I was so excited I rolled around in bed. What does it mean to have security in old age? Children are not as reliable as rental income. By October, the review was almost complete. After researching many capital universities, I finally decided to apply to the Capital University of Foreign Studies. Fortunately, I had self-studied English in advance. Although the English exam wasn't mandatory for most candidates that year, it was required for those applying to foreign language programs. Fu Mingxuan somehow found out I was taking the college entrance exam and sent me many supplementary materials that weren't available on the market. He came to my doorstep and said, "Xian, I'm about to get promoted. Once you get into university, I'll be worthy of you. I'm willing to wait for you no matter how long you study." Not far away in the dark alley, Su Minqiu glared at me with a look of resentment. As if she wanted to devour me, she looked much more haggard. I heard that although Fu Mingxuan supports her, most of his salary is controlled by his mother. Without my financial support, Fu Mingxuan's salary barely keeps the household afloat. Where could there possibly be any extra money to maintain her luxurious lifestyle? I never imagined she could do something so despicable. On an October night, I walked home with a flashlight. As I passed by the Fu household, I heard earth-shattering wails coming from inside. "Ah, I don't want to live anymore. You must take responsibility for me." the wailing woke up the neighbors, and households lit their lamps to come and watch the commotion. Su Mingqiu was seen huddled on the bed, disheveled. Fu Mingxuan clutched his head in agony, the floor littered with upright and fallen empty wine bottles. At the sight of me, the last glimmer of light in his eyes quickly faded. He ruffled his hair, stumbling as he tried to climb off the bed, only to be tripped by the empty wine bottles. The strong smell of alcohol was overwhelming, and I couldn't help but cover my nose. Xian, listen to me. Fu's mother rushed over in a robe, cursing and driving away the nosy neighbors. Before leaving, I caught a glimpse of Fu Mingxuan crawling over, reaching out to pull me. Tears welled up in my eyes, dripping onto the concrete floor. I pretended not to know and didn't even turn my head. In December 1977, the college entrance exam finally arrived. I knew this was not only an opportunity but also a challenge for me. After all, it was the first year with an unprecedented number of candidates, and the admission rate was less than 5%, putting me at a disadvantage in the competition. So I quit my job and studied day and night. I would fall asleep with books in my arms, and the first thing I did upon waking was to start memorizing. On the day of the exam, Li Ming borrowed a car and, with my parents, drove me to the test center. As the car passed by the Fu family's gate, the bright red sign fluttered in the wind, like a leaf on the verge of falling. Today also happened to be the day Su Mingqiu married into the Fu family. No guests, no banquet, the front door was empty and quiet. It said that she caused a huge scene at the textile factory, accusing Fu Mingxuan of forcing her and claiming she was pregnant. In the end, Fu Mingxuan lost his chance for promotion, and to keep his job, he married her. Fu Mingxuan was squatting by the door, no longer as vibrant as he used to be. He lit a cigarette and stared blankly outside. A car passed by, and our eyes met as I sat in the back seat, but the car wouldn't stop, and neither would I. Through the rearview mirror, I saw him suddenly stand up, stumbling forward a few steps, his figure swaying. His figure grew smaller and smaller, and finally, as the vehicle turned the corner at the end of the alley, he completely disappeared. As we drove onto the main road, a bright red banner came into view, warmly welcoming the candidates, ready to be chosen by the motherland. The path ahead was wide open, like a new world unfolding before me. In the spring of 1978, I received my admission notice from the Capital University of Foreign Studies, majoring in English. I heard the school also offers opportunities for exchange studies abroad. I think I'm getting closer to my dream. Fu Mingxuan's smoking habit is getting worse, cigarette butt stuffed into an empty wine bottle, crammed full. This year, he's 33, with nothing to show for it, and life just keeps getting worse. Su Mingqiu, with her messy hair, kicked over a wine bottle as she got out of bed, hands on her hips, and started yelling, "Good-for-nothing man, all you do is drink and smoke." Fu's mother defended her son, jumping up and down, cursing at the sky and the earth. "You barren hen, you've been in our family for 5 years, haven't produced a single child, and don't even do any work. I don't think you're even worth a toe of little Cheng's." Hearing his wife and mother's, Fu Mingxuan was, as long as they don't come to blows, he always pretends not to hear. It's been a long time since I last heard the name Qingxian. No, in fact, I've been seeing her on TV quite often lately. Today is September 1st, 1983. The Soviet Air Defense Force mistakenly shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, which had intruded into their airspace, resulting in the deaths of 269 people. This report is from the Capital TV station's reporter, Qingxian. Yesterday, an international conference on the Palestinian issue was held in Geneva, attended by representatives from 138 countries, the PLO, and observers from Western European countries. This report is from the Capital TV station's reporter, Qingxian, on December 7, 1983. Harrods department store in London was attacked by terrorists with a bomb, resulting in 5 deaths and 91 injuries. This report is from Qingxian, a reporter for Capital TV. On television, she fluently switched between Chinese and English, exuding a confident glow. Yes, the Qingxian he once thought would quietly marry him and live a mediocre life had become an international journalist. It was a time of tense international relations. Upon graduating from university, she unhesitatingly stepped beyond national borders, leaving her mark around the world and bringing back reports to the homeland. Later, he couldn't see her anymore, because Su Mingqiu sold the TV. He knew, watching helplessly as she ordered another man to carry away the TV, pretending to sleep with his eyes closed. That night, the TV was gone, and so was Su Mingqiu, running off with someone else. Just the next morning, a railway worker came to deliver the news that she had died. She tried to hop a train to avoid paying, fell off, and was crushed. The neighbors' gossip never stopped. saying he was a loser, drank himself stupid, and didn't even notice his wife running off right under his nose. He turned a deaf ear and kept drinking bottle after bottle. I saw Qingxian again in the year 2000. By then, he had been laid off and was doing odd jobs near his home, inspired by newspaper ads. He had planned to go south to start a small business, but his mother-in-law fell ill. And there was no one to take care of her at home. He had no choice but to give up. Qingxian returned while pushing a handcart to deliver coal, driving a Lexus and dressed in trendy, avant-garde fashion. She is now the star anchor of the capital TV station, and everyone says, whenever Qingxian appears on TV, you know something big is happening internationally. Qingxian's parents had long been taken by her to the capital to enjoy their retirement. And it was said that this time she returned to contribute to her hometown. Fu's mother found out and spoke to him both openly and subtly. Son, you're still single, and she's of an age where she can't find a husband. Why don't you go talk to her? Consider living together out of old affection. If others heard this, they'd laugh their teeth out. His mother kept talking endlessly, and he was feeling quite annoyed, so he went back to smoking at the door. The community director came to see him. Hey Lao Fu, guess what benefit I've arranged for you? Reporter Qing is coming back to visit her hometown, and I specially applied for a spot for you. She'll be here soon. You should change into something cleaner. Hey, Lao Fu, where are you going? Fu Mingxuan bolted away. He didn't want Qingxian to see him in his current state of destitution, yet, he still wanted to hide in the alley and catch a distant glimpse of Qingxian. As Qingxian passed by the Fu family's gate, she paused for a moment. He heard her warm and clear voice. This household looks quite run down. The records say it's a widow with an orphan, so let's give them extra assistance. She's gone. Fu Mingxuan covered his face and slumped to the ground, as if he could never get up again. Story 2. My husband went mad trying to replace my heart to save his true love, only to lose his mind after I severed all earthly attachments. Xie Qingwei's eyes burned crimson as he demanded, what do I even mean to you? With a faint smile. I replied, merely a fleeting distraction on my immortal ascension. The system never assigned me Xie Qingwei as a conquest target, to become the undisputed pinnacle of combat prowess in the immortal realm, the first step to ascension, severing mortal ties through patricide. Yunshu, could you retrieve some bone-cleansing herbs from the Nuzan illusory realm for me? Xie Qingwei's voice remained its characteristically rich timbre. Qingqing's heart condition has flared up again. She needs physical refinement. When mighty cultivators fail their tribulation, they crystallize into illusionary realms containing their lifelong cultivation and accumulated treasures. The bone-cleansing herb can transform one's constitution into a heaven-blessed pure body, making cultivation progress by leaps and bounds. Does he think such divine-grade treasures grow on trees? The wounds from gathering herbs for junior sister still ache faintly. Yet I haven't fully recovered, and now he's rushing me again to risk my neck for him. In his heart, only his junior sister deserves protection. I'm just a disposable pawn he can summon at will. Xie Qingwei's starlit eyes bore into me as he spoke. He said it with such conviction, utterly certain I'd never refuse him. Truth be told, I've never failed to fulfill any of his demands. I nodded. Sure, I'll go. A knowing smile crept across his face. Yunshu, I'll always remember your kindness. I can't leave junior sister's side right now, so I'm counting on you. I didn't respond. All that talk about being inseparable is just an excuse. They were inseparable, and everyone who saw them said they were a match made in heaven. Go ahead and call me Xie Qingwei's lapdog to your heart's content. I'm the one who's been betrothed to him since childhood. Just then, I heard the system notification. Ding. Xie Qingwei's favorability has reached 50. Inside the illusion, poisonous mists. Mythical beasts, seas of fire and mountains of blades. I've endured them all. Hang in there. Host, you've gone bald, but you've also grown stronger. The system silently comforted me. I rubbed my shiny bald head, freshly scorched by the flames from the final trap. These 3 months in the illusionary realm were more exhilarating than 3 years of cultivation outside. We couldn't even sleep with both eyes closed. Now that victory is finally within sight, both my system and I are moved to tears. So you're the one who cleared all my trials, the first ever. Truly, the younger generation surpasses the old. Do you seek my lifetime's cultivation, my bonded divine artifact, or perhaps the most profound cultivation technique? All 3 options sound irresistible. Clenching my fists, I forced out the words with difficulty. I want the marrow cleansing herb, even as a remnant soul. The Great One wore a puzzled expression, as if questioning my sanity. While marrow cleansing grass is indeed precious to cultivation novices, to me it's nothing but worthless weed. You'd better think this through. My mind's made up. I want the marrow-cleansing grass. Click, click, system, what's that sound? The sound of my grinding molars. When I was teleported out of the illusion realm clutching the marrow-cleansing herb, Xie Qingwei was still waiting outside. Time flowed differently between realms. Mere minutes had passed in the real world. He stared wide-eyed at my pitiful state as I mustered strength from my chest and spat blood onto his pristine white robe. True to form, he panicked and snapped, "Be careful. Don't get blood on the marrow-cleansing herb. Qingqing can't stand the smell of blood." Trembling with rage, I weakly raised my hand to pass him the herb. Xie Qingwei paid no heed to my bloodied state, hastily grabbing it before rushing toward his junior sister's mountain peak without so much as a backward glance. I've gotten used to it, frankly. I don't need his pretentious act anyway. Before long, Xie Qingwei sent word, "Yunshu, you've worked hard. I know what you truly desire. Once junior sister recovers her health, we shall wed." Even from miles away, I could practically hear the pity dripping from his voice. Along with his words came a set of crimson wedding robes. As if marrying me was some charitable act. System, ding, Xie Qingwei's favorability, 60. My vision went black as I finally allowed myself to faint with relief. On our wedding day, we'd just reached the ceremonial wine-sharing ritual. Su Qingqing burst in wearing extravagant crimson robes, strutting toward me like a victorious peacock. "Senior brother, aren't you going to make your move? Attack." What attack? Instinctively I tried to channel my core energy, only to find not a wisp of spiritual power responded. Impossible. I'd never touch anything Xie Qingwei offered me. The wedding robes are suppressing my cultivation. Emerging from that illusion realm left me gravely injured. My danger perception has dulled considerably. Su Qingqing looked at me with contempt. "Did you actually think senior brother cared for you? He'd never make such sacrifices if not for my sake. You should be thanking me for giving you the chance to marry him." Xie Qingwei abruptly set down his wine cup and approached Su Qingqing. His eyes filled with admiration. "Qingqing, you're absolutely stunning. I'd give everything I have to spend my life with you." Then he turned to me and said, "Yunshu, Qingqing's heart condition is worsening by the day. Every attack brings unbearable agony, and her constitution grows weaker. You know how her suffering becomes mine. Surely you'd do anything to bring me happiness, wouldn't you?" Su Qingqing frowned with wounded pride. "Senior brother, you're too kind-hearted. Why waste words bargaining with her? She's already claimed you. What's a mere heart to her now? I've lost the love of my life." Xie Qingwei raised her eyes to meet mine, and a sense of foreboding crept over me. Xie Qingwei only pretended to marry me. Her real scheme was to swap Su Qingqing's heart with mine. God knows where she heard this twisted remedy, but she believed swapping in a healthy heart would cure her cardiac condition. Of all people, Xie Qingwei had to think of me first for this wonderful opportunity. How thoughtful of him. System, told you simps always get the short end of the stick. I tried to salvage the situation. With trembling hands, I forced a pitiful smile. "It's our wedding day after all. Shouldn't we at least drink the ceremonial wine?" A flicker of remorse crossed his eyes as he gazed at me. "Yunshu, I've wronged you. I'll make it up to you properly. Don't worry, you'll always be my wife." He raised his wine cup to intertwine arms with me in the ceremonial drink. The moment we drained our wedding cups, the ritual was complete. I felt an inexplicable bond forming between us, a union blessed by heaven and earth. Now we are truly husband and wife. At the same time, the long-standing barrier within me finally showed signs of loosening, as my cultivation surged relentlessly. 4. Xie Qingwei and I were childhood sweethearts, betrothed to each other since infancy. In my storyline, I regarded him as my future husband, devoting myself wholeheartedly to him. My father intended to groom him as the next successor, showering him with endless spiritual treasures and elixirs throughout our youth. Together we pursued the path of immortality, ultimately ascending hand in hand. Yet in Xie Qingwei's version, he secretly pined for my junior sister Qingqing, the one he loved but couldn't have. Torn between appreciating my devotion and yearning for her, he secretly redirected all the resources I gave him to her instead. Consumed by jealousy, I schemed against her repeatedly until Xie Qingwei finally ran me through with his sword. The story ended with him staring at me in disgust, asking, "How could you become like this? How did I ever become like this, for a man? I abandoned the path I've cultivated for years. This isn't who I'm supposed to be." The moment I grasped my sword, a voice emerged in my mind. "Do as I say, and you'll become the greatest swordsman, the undisputed champion of the celestial realm. All men can go to hell." It calls itself the protagonist cultivation system, and I'm its chosen host. I'm really curious why it picked me. This was its reply. "For centuries, no woman has ever achieved ascension, though female cultivators exist. They're always expected to yield resources to men under the pretense that men shoulder heaven and earth's burdens to protect all living beings. Yet women too are children of this world. Why must we forever be trampled underfoot? These men consume women's resources, then turn around to mock our supposed fragility and need for protection. Worse still, some use women as cultivation cauldrons, treating our gender as mere tradable commodities. Why do we only hear of men killing wives to prove their Tao, but never husbands slain for the same purpose? These hypocrites even claim women lack innate talent for cultivation, insisting our greatest achievement lies in finding a man to depend upon. Isn't this absurd? I pondered these words for a very long time. Xie and I grew up together, yet his cultivation always lagged behind mine. Still, father favored him, simply because he was male. Time and again father told me men naturally achieve more than women. That I needn't strive so hard when securing an accomplished husband would suffice. Once ascended to immortality, even their chickens and dogs would rise to heaven. They claim women lack intellect and only understand love, yet demand they remain love-struck. Mere stepping stones for men's ambitions. Who else would serve them? They crave virtuous wives to aid their cause, tender mistresses to indulge their whims, then pit them against each other in jealous rivalry. Ha! These endless pretexts sever women's path to cultivation, crushing the spine of their independence. Perhaps it was my awakening that summoned this system. From that day on, I devoted myself to the path of emotionless cultivation. A man's affection means as much to a woman as a bicycle does to a fish. After severing all emotional ties, my cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds. Yet unresolved mortal karma held me back, until now, when I've finally broken through. The system's main quest for me was never to romance Xie, but to become the first female cultivator to ascend to the immortal realm and shatter traditions. The first step to ascension, sever mortal ties to prove one's Tao. Overwhelming spiritual energy surged from all directions as the oppressive might of higher beings swept across the land. With joy, all things flourish. With wrath, all life perishes. Is this the power of immortals? Clenching my fist, I felt every pore tingling with exhilaration. How could fleeting romance ever compare to this raw power coursing through my palm? Ascension, impossible. No woman has ever achieved celestial ascension. Xie stared at me with disbelief, his expression a storm of conflicted emotions tinged with embarrassment. He suppressed the resentment in his eyes. What a double blessing. With you as my lawful wife and Qingqing as my beloved concubine, I could die without regrets. It's already evening. Why is he still daydreaming? Before Xie could react, I drove my sword straight through both his chest and Su Qingqing's in his arms. I drew my sword, wiping the blood droplets with a chilling smile. Let me grant your wish. You'll make lovely lovebirds in the underworld. In an instant, spiritual energy surged into my body like an unending tide. This was the heavenly Tao's acknowledgement and reward. Devoid of sentiment, I severed all karmic ties. Xie. Listen carefully. I never loved you. Stop deluding yourself. Every moment with you made me sick to my stomach. Xie pupils dilated in shock. Impossible. You're lying to me. How could you not love me? After all you've done for me. Isn't marriage the natural conclusion? Clutching his bleeding wound, he reached for me. Are you upset about what just happened? How could I ever bring myself to hurt you? It was just a silly prank, Qingqing, and I played on you. Why take it so seriously? If you can't even handle this little test, how can I believe your feelings are genuine? System, damn, that thick skin could double as a shield in battle. As the faint purple glow appeared on the horizon, I knew it was the sign of my imminent ascension to the higher realm. Xie seemed to realize something too. Abandoning Su Qingqing in his arms, he twisted toward me with dark, creeping movements. Madness burning in his eyes. No, you can't leave alone. You're my wife. Just because my cultivation isn't as advanced as yours, you'd abandon me. I know Yunshi would never be that shallow. I couldn't even be bothered to glance his way. The audacity to think he matters more than ascension, failed to achieve immortality himself, yet dares drag me down from the heavens. Pathetic. As I looked at Su Qingqing lying on the ground, that sword strike severed all ties of love and hate between us. Being a woman myself, I couldn't help but warn her. See, this is the man you believed loved you to the marrow. Be your own mighty oak, not a clinging daughter vine. With cultivation within reach, she's still obsessing over romance. Su Qingqing's eyelids fluttered slightly, but she remained silent. I rode the auspicious clouds, leaving without a backward glance, clutching his chest in agony. Xie spat blood while glaring fiercely at my retreating figure, roaring hoarsely. To the ends of the earth, I will find you. The love of someone like Xie isn't worth a penny. He wanted to carve out my heart for Su Qingqing simply because she's a natural cultivation vessel, just to serve his own comfort. I just pierced her heart, yet he couldn't even spare her a second glance. Truth is, he loves no one but himself. this isn't some change of heart toward me. He merely calculated I'd become more useful than Su Qingqing. My journey leads to the stars and beyond, he's merely a stepping stone on my path to immortality. Paying Xie Qingwei no further heed, I set my sights on topping the celestial realm's power rankings. Within mere decades, I'd already carved out a reputation in the immortal world. Every faction knew of Gu Yunshu, the rogue immortal with a bodhisattva's face and a demon's heart, whose combat prowess was legendary. In that epic battle, I fought my rival for 3 days and nights straight. Clashing from celestial realms to the underworld, across mountain peaks and valleys, every move we made shook heaven and earth. In the end, victory was mine. Bloodied and battered, Jin Jinhuan collapsed on the ground, gasping, "Enough, I yield, you're absolutely insane. I've never met a woman more ruthless than you." I wasn't faring much better myself, equally exhausted. Hearing this, I finally relaxed and collapsed into the pool of blood. "Pray tell, what grudge do you mighty ones hold against our sect?" Before I could even rest, the aggrieved party showed up. Turns out the mountain we leveled during our fight belonged to their sect. I glanced at Jin Jinhuan, who waved dismissively. "Why, look at me, you did all the damage." "Whatever, I've already won, no point dwelling on it. Name your price in spirit stones, I'll compensate. All these years of defending my title in martial tournaments have left me with decent savings. Losing a mountain in the mortal realm wouldn't even dent my fortune." To my surprise, the moment the stranger saw my face, they gasped, You're Gu Yunshu." I arched an eyebrow. Had my reputation really spread to the mortal world? Then again, as the first woman to successfully ascend to the immortal realm, I suppose my fame was bound to spread far and wide. That legendary heartless woman who abandoned her husband to ascend to the immortal realm alone, me. Jin Jinhuan's eyes gleamed with unmistakable cunning upon hearing this. "No need to guess, I know exactly who started this rumor. Xie Qingwei." I gritted my teeth. "I'm issuing a bounty. Whoever brings me Xie Qingwei's head gets instant ascension." The system timidly reminded me, "He's the protagonist of this realm, unkillable." "Then wound him, 1,000 spirit stones per strike." Jin laughed so hard she could barely stand straight. "Ha ha ha ha. You heartless wench, I swear. This feels worse than losing to him, so utterly humiliating." Just as expected, the moment we returned to the upper realm, he went around broadcasting my past with Xie Qingwei everywhere. Now I have to wear a veil whenever I go out, terrified of being pointed at and laughed at. Yet Xie Qingwei wasn't faring well either. With such a hefty bounty on his head, assassins came crawling out of the woodwork. He spent every waking moment dodging ambushes and covert attacks. There was no end to them. I landed 180 strikes on him. The fiercest blow nearly severed his arm. I struck 90 times. It's time to reward merits again. With everyone gathering around to claim their credits, I generously fulfilled my promises. After all, people only work when there's something in it for them. Just as I was contentedly preparing to return to the upper realm, someone called out to stop me. "Yunshu, I've finally found you. Do you have any idea how I've survived all these days without you? How could you just walk away like that? You're absolutely heartless." Xie Qingwei accused me with tearful lamentations. "Thankfully I bribed someone to track you down. This time, don't even think about escaping me again. We were so close once. How could you just forget all those beautiful memories?" "Sorry, but those were just your one-sided happy memories." As he spoke, he lunged toward me. I swung my sword, making him halt awkwardly mid-step while still muttering under his breath, "The deeper the love, the sharper the pain. I know, Yunshu, you're acting this way because you still care. After punishing me for so long, if I'm suffering, do you really feel any better? Let's stop torturing each other." "Alright, it's not really mutual torture. To be precise, I'm the one tormenting him." I glanced around, weighing the thought of ending him right then and there as I raised my sword. But the system warned me, "Don't kill him, he's the protagonist. Every near-death experience brings him incredible opportunities. Last time you stabbed him, he stumbled upon an ancient cultivator's hidden grotto the very next day. Not only did his power soar, but he also walked away with treasures." The system then reassured me, "Your strength keeps growing, and your destiny is slowly matching his. The day will come when you surpass him and become the new main character." I held my sword aloft, hesitating to strike. Not stabbing him was agonizing, but knowing he'd benefit from being stabbed made it even worse. Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. Xie Qingwei looked at me with dawning comprehension. "See, Yunshu, you can't deceive yourself. You simply can't bring yourself to be cruel to me. You do love me. You're just still holding a grudge. I was wrong to treat you that way before. And I swear it won't happen again. Stay by my side and help me ascend sooner. Once we reach the celestial realm, we'll become an immortal couple, How does that sound? Honestly, if I had even half his shamelessness, I'd be invincible. Gritting my teeth, I focused my chi and sent a psychic message radiating outward. Xie Qingwei stands here. How dare you? Yunshu is my wife. We'll reconcile sooner or later. When that time comes, none of you who laid hands on us will escape, but soon enough. His bravado crumbled. I was wrong. Yunshu, I know I messed up. Ignoring his increasingly desperate cries, I rushed back without pause to continue my cultivation. The day will come when I'll crush him beneath my feet and end his miserable life. Seasons come and go in the blink of an eye. Congratulations, host, you've now completed over half of your main quest. I frowned, somewhat displeased. Only halfway there. The stronger I grow, the weaker Xie Qingwei becomes. You're hands down the most impressive host I've ever mentored. Completing over half the main quest line in under a century, unlike my previous hosts who kept getting sidetracked by side quests, the system sounded genuinely indignant. I arched an eyebrow, baffled that anyone pursuing immortal cultivation would still bother with mortal trifles like marriage and childbearing. The upper realm and lower realm aren't fundamentally different. It's still about seizing cultivation resources, training desperately, and striving for breakthroughs. Host. The Netherworld secret realm will soon open. My scans indicate it contains numerous valuable treasures. The system's voice echoed in my mind. Let's go. Time to reap some benefits. With a single thought, the earth shrank beneath my feet. In the blink of an eye, I stood before the entrance to the nether abyss. The mystic realm hadn't yet opened, but crowds had already gathered ahead, most traveling in parties. Concealed beneath my bamboo hat, I waited silently for the illusionary realm to awaken. Traveling alone, young one, first time entering the mystic realm. Suddenly, someone approached to strike up a conversation. I nodded, not wanting to engage in further talk. Guarding against the unpredictability of human nature and not easily trusting others has been one of my survival strategies over the years. We're just short a few members in our group. Seeing that you're a woman, why not join us for some protection? The man was dressed in white robes and had a seemingly kind appearance. Divine protection, more like sacrificial lambs. This dungeon's full of traps. Bring extra hands to throw at problems when needed. I shook my head. Thanks, but no thanks. The brute behind him snapped. Stupid bitch, you'd rather take the hard way. I sized them up, not to brag, but their whole crew might not be enough to take me on. My hand tightened around the sword hilt, ready for battle at any moment. But then a shout rang out from a distance. You people are so unreasonable. What kind of man forces himself on a woman? That voice, I know it all too well. A graceful figure appeared, shielding me in front. It was indeed Xie Qingwei. I didn't expect him to have ascended as well. I had him hunted down, but it backfired and only tempered him further. The woman behind him is Su Qingqing. It seems she still hasn't taken my words to heart. She didn't ascend to immortality. She could reach the upper realm because she had signed a master-servant contract with Xie Qingwei. Who would have thought that after all these years, he's developed a penchant for playing the hero? You little punk, trying to show off. Don't you know your own limits? The group of them came up with weapons in hand. Fear not, miss, I'll protect you. I shot him a glance and wisely made myself scarce, teleporting miles away in a flash. Su Qingqing stood watching nearby, crying out repeatedly, stop fighting, please stop fighting. That delicate white lotus act was totally Xie Qingwei's favorite type. Xie Qingwei was beaten badly. If not for the secret realm opening at that moment, those people letting him off, he probably would have been beaten to death. I felt nothing. If you want to show off, either you slap someone else's face or someone else slaps yours. I was about to dart into the secret realm when he grabbed the corner of my clothes. He gave a warm smile. I told you, I won't let you get hurt. It may sound abrupt, but you really resemble my wife. I miss her dearly and have been searching for her trail. His magnetic voice, combined with his affectionate expression, would make most women feel drawn to him, if it weren't for his pig-like face and the woman by his side. I'm utterly devastated. Is the world really this small? The system quietly explained, since you were previously bound by fate, the great path will bring you together. Xie Qingwei and Su Qingqing followed me into the secret realm, showing considerable enthusiasm along the way. Su Qingqing looked displeased but didn't dare to go against Xie Qingwei's wishes. She was no longer the former white moonlight but had become a mere grain of rice on the sleeve. Don't be afraid, I'll protect you, don't worry. I mean no harm. I just want to make amends to my wife. To resemble her even a little is a blessing for you. Listening to his arrogant remarks, I almost couldn't hold back from drawing my sword several times. The system urged me, host, hold back, hold back. This Nine-Nether secret realm is fraught with danger. It's good to have him leading the way. He's the male lead with great fortune. He'll surely come across many treasures and rare items. I'm a bit angry. Why is it that as the male lead, he gets all the magical treasures, power, and status, while the female lead usually only gets beauty and family background, things that are so intangible? I'm no less than Xie Qingwei in any way, yet heaven still favors him more. The atmosphere among the three of us is quite strange. Who would have thought that while tangled with a swordback beast, its claws shredded my veil? Xie Qingwei exclaimed in disbelief. Yunshu, this must be a special fate that brought us together. Can we fight the monster first before we get to the reunion? With a fierce sense of pride, I raised my sword and beheaded the swordback beast in one strike. Xie Qingwei's smile froze for a moment as he looked at my blood-soaked appearance, wanting to approach but hesitating. Yunshu, I really miss you. It's only after losing you that I realized how much I cherish you. The person I truly love has always been you. For you, I pushed myself to train relentlessly. All to ascend to the higher realm and find you sooner. I frowned, puzzled. Why did it sound like someone was constantly farting beside me? So you're saying the person you love is me? He nodded eagerly. I watched Su Qingqing's pale face, terrified by the spine beast. In the past, Xie Qingwei would never have allowed her to witness such a gruesome scene. What about her? I pointed at Su Qingqing. Xie Qingwei's eyes were full of disdain. She's just my servant, you don't need to care about her. I was blind before, mistaking a fisheye for a pearl. Su Qingqing's already pale face turned even paler. That's men for you, worshipping the ground you walk on when they can't have you, then grinding you into dust once they do. Su Qingqing was once a proud, confident, and radiant woman, but now she's reduced to this pitiful, cautious shadow of herself, always bending over backwards to please. In the end, it all comes down to her pinning her hopes on a man. I wonder if she ever had a single moment of regret. My sword pierced through his flesh like lightning. Su Qingqing looked at me in astonishment. I laughed. What are you standing there for? Finish him off. Xie Qingwei was inexplicably struck by my sword, and though he was furious and wanted to retaliate, my cultivation held him immobile. He was both resentful and wronged, like a bitter, complaining wife. Why are you treating me like this? Haven't I been good enough to you? I love you so much. See, once you possess absolute power, roles are reversed. Su Qingqing pursed her lips, looking at me with confusion. Don't you hate me? I once wanted to rip your heart out. I never said I liked you, but why should we be at each other's throats while the real mastermind hides in the shadows? Isn't it all because of him that our grudges and emotions have come to this? I looked at her and tossed the sword to her. Are you really willing to spend your entire life dependent on him, becoming his nourishment, and using your life to nurture him? Kill him. Su Qingqing's brow flickered with a hint of struggle, but it quickly relaxed. Her pale fingers tightened around the sword hilt as she stepped before Xie Qingwei. If you're already betrothed, why did you lead me on? Why force me into signing that slave contract with you? System, he's still the male lead. You can't kill him, I know. But wouldn't he have a great opportunity when he's on the brink of death? Why wouldn't I use such a handy tool? Isn't that just wasting resources? Su Qingqing and Xie Qingwei got into a scuffle. The ground suddenly began to shake violently, and a cliff appeared beneath Xie Qingwei's feet. Falling off a cliff and obtaining various rare treasures. That's the protagonist's standard setup. Just as Xie Qingwei was about to fall into the ground's fissure, I grabbed him, tossed him out, and jumped in myself. The male leads fortune, I'll take it. Congratulations, host. Mission complete. Beneath this fissure lies the lifetime of cultivation left by a great master. The heavenly Tao is indeed merciful to Xie Qingwei. After spending over 10 days underground, I have finally succeeded in inheriting that immense power. I hold my sword, gazing at the sky. Now is the time to end it all. Only when I returned to my residence to freshen up did I discover that it had been completely ransacked. The immortal child burst into tears of joy upon seeing me. You're unharmed. That's wonderful. I frowned at the empty residence. Who dared to be so audacious? A man came by a few days ago, insisting that you were dead and that he, as your spouse, should inherit everything. The fairy spoke while watching my expression. I definitely don't believe it, but I sent you a message and you didn't reply. I'm just a nobody. I really couldn't do anything else. He described the man's appearance to me, then knelt down in fear and begged for my forgiveness. Of course, I wouldn't blame him. The culprit is clear. It must be Xie Qingwei. Before I fell off the cliff, it seemed like Xie Qingwei was still shouting loudly at the edge of the cliff, shouting words of heartbreak and the loss of a loved one. A man's affection is truly the most useless thing in the world. He took my things to the auction house and came out with a face full of excitement and glee. Even if you become an immortal, the deep-rooted inferiority complex remains ingrained in your bones. I was thoroughly disgusted by the smile on his face, so I called out to him, "How dare you take my things? Aren't you claiming to be a gentleman? Taking something without asking is stealing." He looked at me in astonishment, as if seeing a ghost, then quickly changed his expression, showing both sorrow and relief. Yunshu, I thought you were. No matter what you say, you can't let go of me. He always seems to leave his sentences half-finished, leaving a deep meaning. I raised an eyebrow, thought what? That I was dead, so you could inherit my fortune. How could you think that of me? He retorted angrily, shouldn't you look at what he does rather than what I think? Right, besides, we are husband and wife, a united front. So what's yours is mine. A woman still needs to find someone to rely on. He seems to have a magic power that always forces me to attack him with just a few words. System, you are not alone. My argument with him attracted the attention of onlookers. The gender imbalance in the cultivation world is severe, with most being men. After understanding the situation, they disapproved and accused me. He is your husband. A quarrel at the bedside is resolved at the foot of the bed. Exactly, why be so formal within the family? You must have benefited a lot from him since you, a woman, succeeded in ascending, right? Xie Qingwei looked at me smugly upon hearing this, standing tall and straight. His every word and action used to be enhanced by a protagonist's aura, making him seem extraordinary and infinitely charming. But now, without the protagonist's aura, he's just an oily and overly confident old man. My sword trembles faintly, craving blood. It, like me, has been waiting for this moment for a long time. I have no interest in pouring my heart out to them, or uttering any dramatic declarations of cutting ties. Grandiose words are merely a way for men to console themselves when they feel guilty, and I disdain such tactics. I simply released the pressure within me. His so-called good brothers scattered like frightened birds. He who has the stronger fist holds the power of speech. Xie Qingwei tried to pull someone, but was pushed away. This is your family matter, we can't interfere. Just do it if you want to. This time, after he had completely become an ordinary person, there were no more surprises. The astonishment in his eyes was forever frozen, with a white blade of light shooting straight through his pupils. I indifferently wiped my sword, feeling a moment of exhilaration. System 525 is honored to collaborate with you, accompanied you through an unforgettable adventure. Are you leaving? Yes. I should have left earlier, but I stayed for a while. And the main system is already urging me. What will I do without you? I haven't really helped you much either. You're amazing. Without a doubt, you're the best host I've ever had. Keep moving forward, and let everyone see more of the strength of women. It felt like something was being peeled away from within me. I looked up at the sunset on the horizon, a bit lost in thought. System. This time, no one answered me. It seems as if it never existed. But when I looked at the women's cultivation sect I founded, that was proof it existed. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Someday, the voices of women in the immortal realm will grow louder and stronger, until they shake the world. Next, let's hear the next story. I am a concubine's daughter from the Prime Minister's household. During the national crisis, while fleeing for my life, I shared my dry rations with a beggar by the roadside, while my elder sister took our family to seek refuge with a general. Later, the beggar rebellion seized power, and I was crowned empress, ruling the empire with grace. Meanwhile, my elder sister was reduced to a military prostitute, with hundreds entering her tent daily, making her life unbearable. In this new life, my elder sister knocked my pancake out of my hand and handed the beggar some exquisite pastries, saying, "Eat, and if you need more, there's plenty here." On the run, I spotted a beggar by the roadside. He was 7 feet tall, lying by the roadside begging, with his leg broken and barely clinging to life, just like in his previous life. Later, ing to the will of the people, he rose in revolt and became a local lord. After that, he conquered the 6 states and became the new ruler of the nation. I endured hardships with the beggar, gave birth to a child, and naturally became the empress, ruling the empire with grace. I stopped the carriage, but before I could even take out the sesame cake, my elder sister knocked it to the ground. She beat me to it, handing the beggar the exquisite pastries. "Eat, and if you need more, there's plenty here." The moment our eyes met, I knew my elder sister had also been reborn. In her previous life, her elder sister sought refuge with the general, gaining temporary safety, but that white-clad general was a beast. He humiliated her sister in front of all the soldiers, crushing her dignity and pride beneath his hands. Afterwards, her elder sister was forced into military prostitution, with hundreds entering her tent daily, leaving her utterly tormented. If her elder sister refused, the young white-clad general would kill one of the prime minister's attendants every day. He took pleasure in this, and her elder sister suffered unspeakably. The elder sister picked up the pastry and just held it to the beggar's mouth. The beggar's lifeless eyes opened, and suddenly, He reached out and grabbed the elder sister's wrist. The elder sister winced in pain, and the pastry fell to the ground. Ji-won spoke, his voice hoarse. Help me, please. This is the same rhetoric as in my previous life. However, those words were directed at me before. In my previous life, I followed Ji-won through life and death, yet he abandoned me, fleeing with his generals, even kicking my child out of the carriage during the escape. A man like that, if my elder sister wants him, I won't fight for him. My elder sister gave me the household token, and she donned coarse cloth, staying behind to care for the beggars. In this life, she asked me to protect the entire family of the Prime Minister's estate. My parents were killed by rogue soldiers long ago, and now there are only a few maids and old servants left, who have served the estate for generations. In my previous life, my elder sister sided with Xiaoling, so I will choose to side with him as well. I drove the carriage eastward. Xiaoling, you must wait for me. After 3 days of travel by carriage, we arrived in the east and could faintly see the encampment. I smeared soot on my face. I wasn't pretty to begin with, or Ji-won wouldn't have abandoned me so decisively in my previous life, but to get close to him, I still need to disguise myself. I brought the elderly from the Prime Minister's residence to seek refuge with Xiaoling. As soon as I entered the tent, I knelt down. General, in these chaotic times, only you are truly destined to rule. I, a humble woman, have brought my family to seek your protection. I hope you will take us in. There's no man in the world who doesn't love a beautiful woman. Unfortunately, I'm not one of them. Xiaoling had someone fetch some clean water, and I washed off the soot from my face, revealing skin that remained a wheatish hue. Not fresh, not pretty. Xiaoling's interest waned, and he ordered the soldiers to drag us out and behead us. The tent next to his just happened to be the field hospital. I quickly kowtowed. General, I can treat illnesses and dress wounds. Please don't kill me. Keep me here, and I will definitely create greater value for you. Xiaoling laughed, glancing at me. You're just a little girl, not particularly good-looking. Even if they dragged you out to be a camp follower, the soldiers would you for being ugly. What use could you possibly be? I rushed to the field hospital, where a wounded soldier lay in bed, grimacing in pain. His lower leg was exposed, emitting a foul odor. I snatched the knife from the military doctor's hand. Hold him down. That did the trick, and the soldiers held him down. Without flinching at the rotting flesh on his leg, I swiftly heated the dagger, then cut away the decaying flesh and scraped the bone, finally tying a bandage around the soldier's leg. Rest assured, your leg is saved. The soldier, drenched in sweat from the pain, said to me, thank you. Perhaps seeing my worth, or maybe never having met a woman so composed. Xiaoling relaxed. What is your name? I knelt on the ground, gently curving the corners of my lips. I am Jing-won. Thank you, General, for taking me in. In truth, my name is Lian Chao, and I am like an unquenchable, unstoppable weed. A name as beautiful as Jing-won belongs to my elder sister. By taking my elder sister's name, I will surely walk a different path from hers in this life. The lands were fragmented, and small bands of raiders would occasionally attack, only to be quickly subdued by Xiaoling. Among them, there were also commoners who came to seek refuge with Xiaoling. The more attractive women were kept to serve him personally, while the less attractive ones were assigned to the army as military prostitutes. There probably isn't another like me in the entire world. I've been in the military camp for 2 months, but it feels like decades. The skill of treating wounds by scraping bones is second nature to me, thanks to Ji-won from my previous life. In my previous life, Ji-won abandoned me, and I lived and ate with my brothers in the military camp. Learning these skills, I never expected that in this life it would become the foundation of my survival. Good and bad fortunes are intertwined, and this truth holds firm. After bandaging the last wounded soldier, chaos broke out in the camp. The military doctor packed up his gear and didn't forget to grab me. Girl, take your family and hide quickly. The enemy is attacking the camp. This time, there are quite a few of them. It's the Ji family army from Lingnan. Be very careful. The Ji family army, wouldn't that mean my elder sister is here? I sheathed my dagger, strapped it to my leg, arranged for Xiao Tao and the 2 elderly servants, and slipped out quietly. The battle had raged all day, and the Ji family army was encamped 3 miles outside Jiaoling. Dressed in gray short clothes, I crept out under the cover of night, using the mountains and forests as cover. I slowly approached Ji Ruan's army. Though they called themselves an army, they were nothing more than a disorganized mob of bandits, their only advantage being their numbers, which allowed them to temporarily suppress Jiaoling. I waited halfway up the mountain, until the moon disappeared behind the clouds, and then I slowly approached the central tent. Just as I was about to enter, a hand covered my mouth and dragged me into another tent. My elder sister, dressed in a delicate gauze dress, still looked as charming as ever, even amidst the chaos of war. I ignored the bruises on my elder sister's neck. Don't worry. The elderly and weak in the Prime Minister's household are still alive and well, however, I can't guarantee their protection for a lifetime. Hearing this, my elder sister finally smiled. She trusts my abilities, and I trust her beauty. Zhao Ling spares the capable, Ji Ruan spares the beautiful. Thinking of all the past lives, from the moment our eyes met, it spoke more than 1,000 words. Therefore, I do not blame my elder sister for knocking my pancake out of my hand at that time. As I left, my elder sister handed me a packet of sleeping powder, her stunning beauty enhanced by the firelight. Sister, let's team up and toy with these two men until they're done for, shall we? Then she kicked over the candle in the tent. Seeing me run out, she shouted, fire, fire, help. I took advantage of the chaos and ran out. Ji Ruan woke up startled, threw on a coat, and rushed into the fire. Emerging with his elder sister cradled in his arms, Ji Ruan's expression was gentle. A look I had never been granted in my previous life. I coldly watched Ji Ruan, and the moment I saw him, I thought of my child who had been kicked off the carriage. How could such an ungrateful, cold-hearted, and cowardly person be supported by the world as the new ruler? I refused to accept this. With 1,000 thoughts suppressed, I turned back to the camp. Despite my utmost caution, as soon as I set foot in the territory, bonfires lit up instantly in all directions. And Aunt Lu knelt right in front of the main tent. Her daughter was naked from the waist down, her legs smeared with blood, her eyes lifeless. Aunt Lu wept, her gaze at me carrying a hint of resentment. She blames me for leaving the camp late at night and angering the general, otherwise Xiao Tao wouldn't be in this situation. Zhao Ling was clad in snow-white silver armor, his piercing gaze fixed on me. Where did the military doctor go? Did you go to the Ji family army? Planning to betray our military secrets. The words that followed carried a murderous intent, and immediately 2 soldiers grabbed me. One of them, I had once set his bone, and he slapped me to the ground. What are you looking at? It's bad luck. Put that look away and answer the general properly. I propped myself up with my hand on the ground, half my face burning with pain, and a bitter feeling welled up inside me. Then he pulled out a crumpled sketch from his general. I ventured alone into the heart of the enemy's territory for the sake of our army, mapping out the deployment of the G forces nearby. Is this the reward for my loyalty and sacrifice? In the next moment, he twisted the fire starter and placed the paper over the flame. If my movement had been off by just a fraction, the paper would have turned to ashes. Zhao Ling sneered, if you dare to play a trick on me with a fake map, none of your relatives will survive today. Trick. Does the general think I have any reason to deceive him? My entire family is under his command. A single misstep, and he could crush us like ants. Jingwan would never dare to deceive the general, nor does she have the right to do so. The sketch is my only lifeline. I cannot afford to lose, and I won't lose. After a moment of confrontation, Zhao Ling believed, hand over the sketch, and I'll trust you have no ulterior motives. I can protect you in the future, but now the conditions have changed. I don't just want to survive, giving someone leverage and then fully committing your own. The only path ahead is death. As I gazed at Shada's lifeless face, I lit the sketch in my hand. I burned it because during the years I followed Ji Ruan, I had memorized his military routes so well that I wanted to use this knowledge to secure my complete freedom. Zhao Ling rose angrily from his stool and grabbed my neck. You have a lot of nerve, daring to negotiate terms with this general. The general is joking. I'm a coward, especially when it comes to death. At his words, he tightened his grip, and my face gradually turned purple. Just before I suffocated, Zhao Ling loosened his grip and threw me to the ground. Speak, what are your terms? I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, coughed for a while, and finally looked at Zhao Ling for the first time. The jade-faced general, the cold-hearted demon. He never treated people as human, let alone women as mere playthings. Sister, it must have been tough living under Zhao Ling's command in your previous life. With your looks, life would probably be easier under Ji Ruan's control. In the next moment, I drew his sword. Zhao Ling stood firm. He was very arrogant, even though I held the hilt. I still had no ability to kill him, and I had no intention of doing so. I carried the sword and walked over to Aunt Lu, handing it to her. In these times, staying alive is the most crucial thing. Everything else is secondary. Besides, every wrong has its perpetrator, so don't keep your gaze stuck on me. If someone bullied Xiao Tao, you should take your sword and seek revenge yourself. I bit down hard on the last 2 words. For the defense map. Killing 1 or 2 soldiers is something Zhao Ling would do. Immediately, 3 soldiers panicked and tried to flee, but before Zhao Ling could say anything, someone had already dragged those 3 bastards out. Auntie Lu let out a desperate scream, wielding her knife and slashing 30 times, each strike hitting bone, leaving the blood of the three beasts pooling on the ground. After that day, Zhaoling relied on me as a living map to defeat Ji Yuan multiple times. Even achieving a major victory with fewer troops, over 5 years, I gradually rose to the position of military strategist, yet Ji Yuan seemed to be blessed by the gods, as more and more people flocked to his side. Despite Zhaoling's unwillingness, they could only retreat 20 miles and set up camp in Ru County. When winter arrived, the county slaughtered pigs, claiming they had captured enemy troops, and everyone was celebrating. As the red cloth covering the cage was lifted, the wine in my cup spilled. My elder sister was captured. How could that be? My elder sister's beauty far surpasses that of Lady Chen. In this new life, Ji Yuan would surely cherish her elder sister as if she were a precious treasure. Afraid she might melt in her hands, she shouldn't be here. At the banquet, the sound of silk and bamboo instruments suddenly rose. Her elder sister danced in the cage, her eyes carrying a hint of sorrow. A languid glance at Zhaoling only made her beauty more poignant. Zhaoling was mesmerized. He threw down his wine cup, slashed the cage open with a sword, and pulled her elder sister into his arms. He gently pinched the soft flesh at her elder sister's waist and was about to lean in when many generals curiously looked over. Her elder sister extended her fingertip to press against Zhaoling's lips. General, acting like this in public will make people think you've lost your composure. General Ji is indeed very gentle with me, and he treats everyone like that. No wonder he can rally countless young men to his side with just a call. Zhaoling is not as good as Ji Yuan. Rather, the general trend of the world is not in Zhaoling's favor. Ji Yuan rose to power by riding the tide, and he appeared kind and gentle, at least on the surface, which made him more popular among the people. However, Zhaoling was skilled in martial arts, ruthless in his actions, and never hid his ambitions. People always sympathize with the weaker side, love the faces that hide knives behind smiles, and enjoy complicating things that are originally simple. For over a month, the eldest sister was in Zhaoling's camp, while Ji Yuan advanced swiftly, breaking through the defenses of 3 generals, and steadily closing in on Ru County. He set up camp 20 miles outside Ru County, sent a letter demanding that Zhaoling release the eldest sister, or he would attack the city. The troops under his command were more than 3 times that of Zhaoling. Zhaoling has no chance of winning. In the military camp, I am one of the few women. Zhaoling asked me to persuade my elder sister to surrender and join her in dealing with Ji Yuan. He wanted to use my elder sister to gain the upper hand over Ji Yuan. Before I could speak, my elder sister spoke first. I'm pregnant, sister. Can you guess whose child I'm carrying, Ji Yuan's or Zhaoling's? My elder sister's eyes and brows were filled with joy as she gently stroked her belly. No matter whose it is, he is my child and our greatest support. Once Ru County is breached, the world will be unified, and Ji Yuan will be the one and only emperor. Despite the imminent victory, he halted his steps for his elder sister. If I had been the one in the city in my previous life, Ji Yuan's cavalry would have already trampled over Ru County. A person's life doesn't just pass by lightly. Even if I were to live again, the past remains like a steel needle piercing my heart, flaring up from time to time, causing me to toss and turn in pain. Unable to sleep, I wonder if my elder sister, in the dead of night, might be tempted to end Zhaoling's life with a single stroke. The torment of her past clung to her like maggots to flesh, yet even with her proud nature, she endured until today. At the age of 10, her father calculated that the kingdom of Jiang was doomed. Back then, years of drought had ravaged the land, and instead of reducing taxes, they were increased by 30%. Local enforcers went door to door seizing grain to cover the taxes, leading to the starvation of many. Some families resorted to exchanging children for food, and the roads were littered with the broken bones and teeth of children. The people of Xingdu signed a petition with their blood, which was delivered to my father. Prime Minister, please persuade the emperor again. How can we survive with such high taxes, but with my father's weak influence alone? How could he save this dying and corrupt dynasty? The last petition enraged the emperor, who directly stripped my father of his official hat and had him beaten with 20 strokes of the cane. My mother took care of my father tirelessly for 2 months. It was then that my elder sister took over the household. I was originally a concubine's daughter in the Prime Minister's household. My birth mother died in childbirth that year, and afterward, I was adopted under the official wife's name. The madam couldn't be bothered with me, and my father was preoccupied with affairs. It was my elder sister who forced me to read a few books and learn to read. Later, my elder sister forced me to learn embroidery, but I couldn't even manage it after pricking my hands countless times. She frowned, applied medicine to my wounds, and called me a hopeless case. After the emperor was assassinated, a young prince ascended to the throne, the people overthrew the previous emperor's tyranny, and the land began to fragment. Zhao Ling directly led 100,000 soldiers, stationed in the north, and declared himself king. Rebel soldiers stormed into our home, killing my father and mother. My elder sister protected me. She, along with a few old servants and me, hid in a secret chamber, watching as those men searched the place multiple times. We only dared to come out after they left. This was followed by a 3-month ordeal of fleeing. My elder sister said that Zhao Ling, with his formidable army, could surely protect our family if we could seek refuge with him, but I took a liking to the beggar by the roadside and shared some food with him. I was being overly kind, and my elder sister couldn't persuade me otherwise. Fortunately, this place wasn't far from the garrison near Zhao Ling. My elder sister said that once she settled down there, she would come back to get me. I never got to see her come back for me. After my elder sister left, not a single letter arrived. After the Jirwan uprising, it gained widespread support with a single call. As the two armies clashed, I saw my elder sister again. She danced on the city wall, revealing her fair waist, her eyes lifeless. I remember. It was the day she came of age. Jirwan was determined to make the beautiful Lady Chen his empress and her son his crown prince. It was Mr. Zhang who persuaded Jirwan. Your Majesty, Lady Lian has been with you since before your rise to power. She is your true partner through thick and thin. If you make Lady Chen the empress, it is likely that the people of the world will not respect you as their ruler. Otherwise, how could the throne of empress ever fall to me? But even though I became the empress, Jirwan did not love me. I was just an orphan with no power or influence. I cowed out outside the palace, my forehead bloodied and mangled, staining the white jade steps red. Yet I still couldn't save my elder sister, let alone myself. After my elder sister was killed, I only reigned as empress for 18 days before Lady Chen forced poisoned wine down my throat. My child, slandered as a bastard, had their limbs torn off and was hung outside the city gates of Xingdu. My 10 years of running and following ultimately turned into a joke. After my death, only Mr. Zhang burned paper money for me, perhaps out of pity for my predicament, or perhaps in lamentation of the current state of the world, where truth and falsehood are intertwined. Even he, who was so adept at strategizing, couldn't see through it all at once. My elder sister managed to deceive Zhao Ling somehow, making him believe that the child in her womb was his. Consequently, his attitude toward her improved significantly. Xiao Tao was assigned to take care of my elder sister's daily needs. The former prime minister's family had long since fallen apart, and no one cared about our identities. To survive, everyone tacitly agreed. Auntie Lu handed me 2 freshly steamed meat buns and silently went back to tending the fire. I was sharpening knives in the rear camp, one after another. The great battle was imminent, and we couldn't let dull blades ruin our plans. Zhao Ling still refused to hand over her elder sister. Their war, with or without her, would be a fight to the death. There can only be one emperor, yet they waged this war in her name, and everyone was spreading rumors that she was the demonic concubine who brought calamity, the root of all the flames of war. I watched her cautiously, and she seemed as calm as ever. Just tucked my knife into my coat. Don't be afraid, little sister. I will definitely take you home. We will have a home. Just like 10 years ago, when I sneaked out to catch fish and shrimp, and my elder sister scolded me while helping me wipe the mud off my forehead, then gently scolded me. You little rascal, if you keep being so mischievous, I won't speak up for you the next time father gets angry. Thinking about it, the corners of my lips curl up, watching my elder sister's slightly rounded belly. I imagine her child will be as cute and well-behaved as my child from my previous life. When the time comes, I'll catch fish for my little nephew to eat. No, I also want to take my little nephew to explore the gates of the capital, so my deceased child can see he has a lovely little brother. Finally, I'll persuade my little nephew to climb over the wall and sneak out to play, getting ourselves all dirty. My elder sister will chase after us, scolding, while cheerfully preparing clean clothes for us to change into. Zhao Ling refuses to let her elder sister return, and Ji Ruan's army draws closer day by day. At night, a long horn blast echoed, and the deafening sounds of battle outside the city walls filled the air. The drama of the 2 kings vying for the beauty has begun, and the most innocent beauty is nestled in my arms, complaining to me about how Ji Ruan smells. She wonders how she could have willingly borne his children in her previous life. Besides, Ji Ruan is a rough man, not good-looking at all. How did I fall for him? To the point where I couldn't move on just for a beggar, in a lifetime. Who hasn't done a few foolish things? In my previous life, I was constantly on the move, abandoned and left behind, almost dying several times. Yet, I still had moments to catch my breath. Ji Ruan gradually grew stronger, and I kept deluding myself, thinking there was still a glimmer of hope for life, but my elder sister, who has always lived in deep suffering, now speaks of her own experiences as if recounting stories from a book. The mockery brushed off in a few words was the suffering she couldn't escape in her previous life, with a clear disparity in strength between the two armies. There was no doubt that Zhaoling's side was defeated. While fleeing, Zhaoling glanced at his elder sister, then embraced her and planned to take her with him. His elder sister bit into his neck, and blood seeped from the wound, causing Zhaoling to pause in surprise. Lian Yang, you don't want to come with me, if Ji Yuan catches up. He won't let you go, and he certainly won't spare our child, my elder sister cried, her tears like pear blossoms bathed in rain. General, go alone, Lian Yang doesn't want to be a burden to you. If death is unavoidable, Lian Yang will take her own life with a knife. You must avenge Lian Yang when the time comes. My elder sister is skilled at manipulating people's hearts. In my previous life, when Zhaoling was powerful, she naturally looked down on my elder sister, who was eager to attach herself to them. Even the greatest hero may find himself moved by the beauty who shared his hardships as he grows old. He glanced at his elder sister, torn within, clutching the sleeping powder in my hand. I sprinkled it in front of Zhaoling as the two were lost in their tender moment, and Zhaoling, caught off guard, fell unconscious. I handed the repeatedly sharpened knife to my elder sister. Avoid the heart and vital areas, preferably the thigh, 3 inches below the ribs. Remember, do not let him die. Keep him alive for future use. Every day, 100 soldiers engage in public acts, and the elder sister is made to lure the enemy from the city wall. A gust of wind seemed to blow through the hall, stirring up the grievances of a past life. The elder sister, with tears in her eyes, struck again and again. And soon Zhaoling was covered in blood. This long-held grudge, after an entire lifetime and several more years, finally found a moment of relief. I wiped the blood from my elder sister's eyes and brows with a handkerchief, took the knife, and added a few more cuts where necessary. My noble and precious elder sister, who in the Prime Minister's residence was merely a lady who enjoyed literature, painting, tea, and music, deserved to be mistreated and humiliated by him in her previous life. Why should she? Zhaoling and I hid in the cellar behind the camp tent, while my elder sister and Xiao Tao moved boxes to cover us. When Ji Yuan arrived, my elder sister slashed her face with a knife, and tiny droplets of blood trickled down her cheek. She cried again, her tears mixing with the blood, making her look even more pitiful. She tousled her hair and rushed over as soon as she saw Ji Yuan. Husband, I've waited so long. You finally come. I clenched my palms, listening to the tender words above. I forced myself not to cry out. The battlefield was cleared for 3 days, after which Ji Yuan led his troops back to Xingdu. After being unconscious for 7 days, Zhaoling woke up to find himself on an ox-drawn cart, with me driving it, dressed in women's clothing, pulling him along a deserted path. I told him that after Ji Yuan attacked, he struck him down with a single sword blow. And it was I who dug him out from the pile of corpses and brought him to safety. I was his savior. At first, Zhaoling didn't believe it, but after thinking it over, there was no better explanation, so after teasing for a while, he finally said a few words. Thanks for your hard work, strategist. He had over a dozen wounds of varying sizes on his body. I gave him the most basic bandages, counted the money in my pocket, and bought him the cheapest medicine. He deserves to suffer a few more days. With the world newly stabilized and everything in disarray, the new emperor, following Mr. Zhang's advice, adopted a policy of non-interference, aiming to restore and nurture the people. Everyone praised Ji Yuan as a good emperor. As I walked along, I heard many praises for him. In his previous life, Ji Yuan was always cautious and careful, engaging in a protracted war with Zhaoling. Now that his elder sister has been captured, Ji Yuan has taken a decisive step, ending the divided rule between the two regions several years earlier than expected. It turns out that my elder sister was captured not just to kill Zhaoling. The spring rain is as gentle as silk. I look up at the fine rain in the sky, and as it falls into my eyes, I laugh until 2 streams of tears mix with the rain and slide down my cheeks. Ji Yuan changed the country's name to Lian. The name symbolizes a long-lasting union with my elder sister, ruling over a vast land. Lian Chao, Lian Chao. In the end, you still benefited from your elder sister's influence. In your previous life, you were just a wild grass in the field, blown by the wind, beaten by the rain, and then casually pulled out and burned. Where is there an opportunity to name a country? I watched Zhaoling fiddling with firewood and tossed him a flatbread in annoyance. The child of the general and the queen will be the future heir of this country. In another sense, General, you've still won, it's just not very honorable. Zhao remains unmoved. My child, in the future, will call someone else Father Emperor and take another surname. Even if I win, what does it matter? I'm still a complete failure now. He is seriously injured, no longer the arrogant figure he was when we first met. The conversation was sporadic, with long pauses between words. Late at night, the rain grew heavier, and the thatched hut I had built couldn't withstand the storm. Collapsing under the pressure, the fallen log struck Zhao leg. And with his already severe injury, his face instantly turned pale. The wood was too heavy. I had needed help from a few workers to build the hut in the first place, and I couldn't lift it alone. Zhao tried to lift it himself, but he couldn't muster the strength, and the log fell back down, deepening the wound. If you want to keep your legs, don't move around, just stay still, I scolded him, and the next second I went out into the rain. The early spring rain was bitterly cold. After knocking on several doors, someone finally agreed. When I returned to the thatched hut with help, Zhao face was as pale as snow. The rain scattered the blood beneath him, only for the wound to ooze more blood moments later, which was then scattered again, over and over. What a troublesome fellow. If it weren't for his usefulness, I would have skinned and flayed him long ago, saving all this trouble. Together with the helpful, we lifted the log and moved it aside. Then carried Zhao to a sheltered corner. His legs were a mangled mess from being crushed for too long. It seems like he might not make it. Little lady, your husband has lost his legs. How will you two survive in the future? I don't like talking much, but I didn't expect Zhao to remain silent either. That's quite unusual. After the left, I took off my outer garment to help Zhao bandage his wounds. He suddenly spoke up. The strategist's name seems to be Jingwan. Then he grabbed my hand, looking down at me. Once we get through this crisis, I will rise again and surely grant the strategist a proper status. I stared blankly at Zhao. In an instant, the memories buried deep within me surfaced. At that time, I had just parted ways with my elder sister. Struggling, I carried Ji-Wan, step by step, and managed to bring him to a dilapidated temple, where we found temporary shelter from the wind and rain. The offerings and donations in the temple, even the gold paint on the Buddha statues, were all taken by passing refugees. I felt outraged. How can these people even scrape off the golden paint of the Bodhisattva? Heaven will hold them accountable. Ji-Wan smiled gently. There will be no blame. When times get better, believers will come to restore the golden attire of the Bodhisattva. The gods and Buddhas do not care about such trivial matters, he added. My lady, you have saved me, and I can never repay you. If one day I achieve success, I promise you a grand wedding with a 10-mile procession of red decorations and a phoenix crown adorned with colorful silks. Zeroin is his courtesy name, as pleasing to the ear as his given name, and it doesn't at all resemble the rough and wild names of the Greenwood. I shook my head instinctively. No. I need to wait for my elder sister to come and get me. She promised she would come soon, but I never waited for my elder sister. She never received Ji-Ruan's phoenix coronet and bridal gown, only an unwilling imperial edict of enfeoffment. Promises made by men in dire straits are the least trustworthy. His sweet words at this moment are merely a ploy to trick you into sharing his hardships. He chooses you now because you are the only option before him, and he has no other choice. I don't want to be anyone's fallback option, whether it's Chao or Jingwan. I must be unique and not someone's second choice. The general only has eyes for Lady Lian. Why bother saying such nice things to me? I won't abandon you. If you really want to repay your debt in the future, why not give me your life? I was dead serious, but he took it as a joke. My elder sister has been enfeoffed, and the whole country is celebrating. This is the first happy event since Ji-Wan became the new emperor. Though it was done modestly, it was still lively and joyous. After Zhao leg injury healed, we returned to Xingdu, watching the people's lives gradually improve. I teased him. General, what was the reason you gathered in the north and crowned yourselves kings? After the world has gone through so many twists and turns, with greed for power clouding minds, how many can still hold on to their original intentions? At first, he was just disgusted by the old emperor's tyranny, but eventually, he ended up following the same path. He didn't shy away from harming the people. Counting the days, my little nephew should be born soon. Recently, Xingdu has been bustling with activity, as many citizens have set up stalls and started small businesses. The previous storms must have been too fierce, for even in the bustling capital like Xingdu, there were still many beggars on the streets, singing among the crowd. Good Lady Ruan returned intact from the enemy camp, secured her position as the lady of the house. But who exactly is little Ruan's father? Zhao face changed. The nursery rhyme was clearly about her elder sister, Ji-Ruan, and Zhao own scandalous affairs, publicly insulting the current empress. And strangely, no one intervened. Someone is trying to stir up trouble. half a year has passed, and Zhao Ling's wounds have long since healed. He practices swordsmanship in the courtyard every day, with the world now settled. Even if he harbors ambitions to rise again, they have gradually faded. Could he truly bear to see the woman he loves and his child being criticized? I was once his strategist, Zhao Ling said, gripping his teacup and frowning. Strategist? Is there any way to enter the palace? I want to see Lian Yang, afraid that she might meet with misfortune alone in the royal court. The inner palace has always been a place of carnage. These rumors are directly targeting the empress. How could there be no consequences? I said. General, your wounds have just healed, and Ji Yuan sees you as a thorn in his side. Entering the palace is like walking into the mouth of a tiger, all just to see Lady Lian once. It's not worth it. What he should be doing now is biding his time and hiding his strengths. Yet men always cherish what they cannot have. I helped him contact the former subordinates who had been reclaimed by Ji Yuan. After arranging everything, Zhao Ling asked me to help him disguise. Jingwan, once we return from this mission, we'll leave Xingdu and never come back. With the people living in peace and prosperity, perhaps Ji Yuan was right. Who said I'm leaving with you? I rolled my eyes and stuck a fake beard on him. During the day, when the palace gates were wide open, we disguised ourselves as a vegetable delivery father and daughter and entered the palace. The stone-paved path inside the palace was long and far. And in my previous life, I walked it my entire life without ever finishing it. Now, my steps felt light and carefree. Perhaps it's because there's someone I want to see ahead, a visible future, and the kind of human warmth I desire. My elder sister has lived half her life according to her plan, and for this final step, I must help her well. I can't hold her back, or else she'll scold me again. The empress resides in Jiafeng Palace, which is quite a distance from the kitchen. Zhao Ling got me a set of maid's clothes to change into. While he dressed as a eunuch, his demeanor was nothing like that of a eunuch, so he had to stoop to hide it. A resemblance of 7 out of 10 would be enough to fool the palace dwellers. Inside the palace, just like outside the city walls, everything was in disarray. It took craftsmen nearly half a year of patching things up before the royal palace began to take shape. As Zhao Ling walked, he studied the map in his hand. Afraid of taking the wrong path, from a distance, I saw a woman in a vibrant red palace gown. She wore a gentle, loose hair bun and looked tenderly at the child in her arms. Sha Tao stood by her side, using a fan to cool her. It all seemed like yesterday, yet after countless cycles, everything in this life has changed. Ji Yuan held a rattle and pretended to scare her elder sister from behind. Zhao Ling clenched his knuckles on one side until they creaked. He was unwilling to accept it. No matter if it was sincere or not, his elder sister's words and actions had already stirred his thoughts. I slipped the hidden knife into his hand. The general is highly skilled in martial arts. Why not kill the despotic emperor, then unite with those old servants to overthrow Ji Yuan, and pretend to kidnap the empress to threaten Ji Yuan's old ministers? Wouldn't the world be easily within our grasp? In the midst of their conversation, his elder sister pecked Ji Yuan's lips. Zhao Ling's eyes turned red, and he no longer had the restraint and rationality of a general. I continued to stoke the flames beside him. Moreover, Ji Yuan is lustful and fickle. When the empress grows old and loses her charm, who can protect her then? General, only you can protect Lian Yang. Do you really trust someone else with Lian Yang? Did you travel all the way back to Xingdu, enter the palace, just to take a distant glance at Lian Yang? Your former ministers are under Ji Yuan's oppression, and they are all waiting for you. If you silently kill Ji Yuan today, causing chaos in the palace, isn't that the perfect opportunity for you to rise? Having fallen from a high position, he was already a disheartened man, and couldn't withstand my provocation. In the next moment, he slowly approached Ji Yuan with a knife. Shock filled Ji Yuan's eyes as they faced each other. Although Ji Yuan had been in the military for years, he was no match for the young general of Zhao Ling and quickly fell. He shouted for help, but the courtyard was empty in all directions. Only his elder sister smiled with a gentle expression. Zhao Ling stabbed Ji Yuan with a single strike, killing him instantly. At the same time, I pressed the dagger against Zhao Ling's neck. You audacious villain, how dare you assassinate the emperor? What crime do you deserve? My elder sister was so frightened that her face turned pale, and she fell to the ground, crying, protect the emperor, save me, Mr. Zhang rushed out with his men. Zhao Ling tried to resist, but my knife immediately pressed harder, cutting into his flesh. With a knife at your throat, do you really think I can't harm you at all, General? Don't think my years in the military camp were for nothing. Before, I was only concerned about the lives of Xiao Tao and Aunt Lu. Now that my loved ones are no longer held hostage, I can act freely, with someone backing me up. I can just do as I did back then, fishing and shrimping without a care in the world. Even the dim-witted Zhaoling could tell at this point that my sister and I were in it together. His expression shifted from surprise to disbelief, ending with a bitter smile. As he was being led away, Zhaoling couldn't help but gaze longingly at the child in my sister's arms. Even now, he still believes that child is his. I just want to laugh, and I also want to say he deserved it. Karma comes full circle. In this life, he willingly fell into the trap my elder sister and I set, and even in his last moments of captivity, he didn't utter a single word. Mr. Zhang, leading his personal guards, knelt before my elder sister. Your Majesty, I have come to your rescue too late. Please punish me. Your Majesty, my elder sister wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and helped Mr. Zhang to his feet. Please rise, sir. In the future, my child and I will rely on your guidance. Even if the emperor is gone, with you in charge of the kingdom, I am at ease. I wiped the blood off the knife handle with a silk cloth and noticed that Mr. Zhang's gaze always carried a restrained and subdued quality whenever it fell upon my elder sister. I suddenly smiled. So that's how it is. The solution to this situation has never been Ji Yuan. The rise and fall of dynasties don't rely on him either. My elder sister is truly much wiser than me, and my little nephew will undoubtedly be the smartest child in the world. Maybe I'll even have to ask him to let me win when we catch fish. It seems I'm going to be the dumbest one in the family again. It was me who was told this before. Turned out to be Lady Chen, who had her limbs amputated. She said Lady Chen's life had been spared for me. By the second year, my little nephew had just barely learned to walk. Stumbling along, my elder half-sister invited Mr. Zhang and took us all out for a spring outing in the countryside. She made me a new outfit, a light-colored palace gown, but after a glance, she wasn't quite satisfied. Finally, she took out 2 Hetian jade hairpins from the box and helped me put them in. Only then did she say, "Beautiful." My little nephew clapped his hands beside me, echoing, "Beautiful, beautiful." I'm not used to the scent of the incense on the silk skirt, and I sneezed unexpectedly, said very seriously, "Sister, this dress isn't very convenient for catching fish. Can you change it?" Mr. Zhang coughed lightly and then entered the hall. Your Majesty, the carriage for leaving the palace is ready. He didn't mention that he also brought someone with him, by the grassy pond. I rolled up my wide sleeves and fished in the river. My eyes lit up as I lifted the fish and exclaimed, "Sister, it's a carp, we can have a special lunch." Only my little nephew clapped on the side. Mr. Zhang and my sister walked far away together. He tied Zhaoling to a wooden frame in the distance and played darts with my sister. Zhaoling had her tongue cut out and her limbs severed. She whimpered and soon let out a muffled groan. The eldest sister happily hugged Mr. Zhang. I've won, I've won.